Welcome to the Leader's Pause, where leaders like you tune in to find calm, get clear, and level up. Tune in with best-selling author, speaker, and coach Hal Runkel as he helps you take back your time, your energy, and your decision-making power. All you have to do is learn to press your own pause button first. So, take a break, take a breath, take a knee, and learn to access your greatest human superpower, the ability to pause, think, and decide for yourself. It's time to find calm, get clear, and level up. The Leader's Pause starts now.
Afternoon, good evening. This is Hal Runkel. I'm your host. This is the Leader's Pause, and I am fascinated by a structure that a few organizations have put into place, have attempted to put in place. And I know this is a weird, boring way to start a show, but this is something that I believe has the power to affect your life at work, which is a third of your life almost, more than a very few things I've seen. It is a structure, but it starts with a mindset, and it's practiced by some very few, but some of the best companies in the world, a couple of which are located here in my town of Atlanta. So today we're going to talk about how to structure your organization, and that can mean your family even, in a way that leaves everyone feeling stronger, freer, more capable, more confident, and more supported all at the same time. That's what we want as leaders. How about this? That's what I hope you want in any leadership role you have, whether as a leader in your company or a leader at home. You've got kids, you're a leader. Is getting to this place where I want to judge how I'm doing based on how they're doing. No, it's tricky because it's not an automatic reflection on, because people are individuals and you can be the calmest, clearest, most centered leader in the world and still have followers that make terrible decisions. Why? Because they have minds of their own and they're individuals, and there's nothing we do to eliminate that. But over time, good leadership will bring the best out in people, and that will be evidenced by the fruit. So sometimes we have structures that we put in place that actually prevent us from carrying out those ideals. And you see it reflected in our language, how we discuss leadership. And it's especially discussed now in election season, where everything is about getting to be on top. Think how many ways we phrase the idea of leadership as something higher. You want to rise up. Even in my tagline, level up. We don't want to level down. We want to level up. We want to rise high in the organization. We want to have authority, over people. We want the top floor, head, which is on top of the body. So many ways we use to discuss leadership is about being on top of others, rising above others so that you can then be above them. We want the penthouse, which is the highest. Nobody aims to get to the basement. But what's the fascinating thing is I coach CEOs and leaders in the so-called highest C-suite levels, is that the view is never as good as they thought it was going to be. The job is not as anywhere near what they expected it to be. Once they rise up to a level of leadership above others, it doesn't feel that way. What it feels to them is, in many ways, the opposite. You think about it, if you're rising above to the top of a human pyramid, if you're a cheerleader, you're rising above, you have less weight on you. You've got more weight below you. And maybe that's what we think when we're going to get promoted up is okay, I'm going to have less weight on my shoulders and it's going to be easier. And it's anything but, isn't it? It is anything but. Every time you've gotten promoted, your life's gotten a little more difficult because responsibility carries weight. So there are a few brave leaders, and it's really only happened the last 50 years or so, but it's a few brave leaders and companies that decided to flip the entire mindset on its end. Nobody, I don't know if I've seen it called the upside down leader, but that's basically what we're talking about. It's an Sometimes it's called the inverted pyramid, but it starts with a mindset that says, my job is not to rise above anybody else. If I'm going to lead people, then I need to get below them. I need to see that, okay, the most important floor in the building is not the penthouse. The most important is the foundation. We want to get to the bottom, not rise to the top. We want to get to the bottom because without the strongest foundation, then you're in danger in the penthouse. The higher you go, the more in danger you are. Instead, the inverted pyramid says that the top of the organization are not even people in the organization. This is probably, I think, probably the genesis of this genius is beginning with this idea that, wait a second, who is the real hero in our company? What really good leaders, marketers, salespeople, delivery people, what they get is that the hero in our organization is no one within our organization. The hero in our organization are the customers and clients that we serve. They're the heroes. What we want to do is not promote ourselves as the heroes, because what that makes them are they're the ones making us. By giving us business, by paying us money, they are elevating us. So we can't help but come across as if we are above you but at the same time, we need you. We need you to pay us so that we can be above. How is that an attractive sales message? What the inverted pyramid says, first of all, is the very top of the organization is always customers. They are the heroes. We are in their story as guides. We are a guide to help the hero accomplish her lifelong mission. It is Katniss Everdeen. She is the hero of the Hunger Games, not Hamish, played by Woody Harrelson, not the guy played by Lenny Kravitz. Those are the guides to help Katniss be the hero and face off the enemy, which is the Donald Sutherland character. Think about Obi-Wan Kenobi is not the hero of the story. Luke Skywalker is the hero. Obi-Wan is the guide. Well, in every great company, you don't see yourself as the hero. You see your customer as the hero, and you are the guide to help them overcome whatever obstacle they have in their way to help them obtain what it is they want most. You're an insurance company. You are not selling insurance. You are helping your customers reach a new level of inner security, peace of mind. That's what you're selling. That they know no matter what happens, somebody's got my back. And that's your job as an insurance company. It's not to make yourselves look great, it's to make your customers look great. It's to make them feel fantastic, capable, confident, at rest, peaceful. They can pursue because they know they've got this part covered. They're the guide. Every great company is a guide, not The hero. And when you're not making actively your customer the hero, then what you're doing is inadvertently competing with them for who's the hero in this story. So every sales conversation, every commercial that you put on TV, every marketing paraphernalia, every initiative you do, it's a competition of who's going to be the hero. Instead, great companies say, what can I do to make them the hero? The customer is a hero no matter what. And this fits with some of the best advice I've ever seen from parents to children. But entering the workforce, recognize that no matter what your job title is, you only have one job. No matter where you are at in the organization, you only ever have one job, and that's to make somebody else successful. That's always our job. Help make someone else successful. That's leadership, helping make someone else successful. And if you're starting off, it's okay, try to make your boss look successful. If your boss is good, and your boss is trying to do the same for you, that's the job. So, in an inverted pyramid, the very top are the customers, because if they're not the active heroes, and if you're not the guide in their story, then somebody else is, and guess what? They're not your customers anymore. So you put them at the top. Well, who's underneath that? CEO? No. Underneath that, frontline delivery employees, the people who are touching the customers. And this means customer service. This means salespeople. This means people who are actually delivering the services or products to the customers. It's whoever is actually interfacing with the customers the most. That's next. Who's underneath that? Their managers. Their managers are underneath the frontline delivery workers. And who's underneath that? The directors. The directors are underneath the managers. Well, who's underneath that? The executives. The executive leadership team is underneath the directors. And who's underneath that? The CEO. He's underneath. She's underneath. What really good leaders recognize is that the reason why this feels heavy is not because of that old adage, the heavy is the head that wears the crown. It doesn't feel heavy because they're wearing a crown. It feels heavy because of all the people that are standing on their shoulders, not because of the crown on their head, but the people standing on their shoulders. And they recognize it's my job to support all of them. And so aspiring to be CEO seems like the most natural thing in the world. It should be terrifying. Aspiring to be president of the United States. I mean, we all think of people who we would love to run. I think, and people have suggested Oprah, that she should run. People have suggested Michelle Obama should run. These people aren't going to run for president because they know what a thankless job that is. But I think it's because they also get the job. They understand this is about supporting others, not about rising above and shining. It's about helping other people shine. That's what leadership is helping other people be successful, helping other people write better stories where they can see themselves as the heroes, obtaining what it is they want, overcoming the obstacles that are standing before them, sometimes standing within them. Our job, as every job in the leader's organization, in this inverted pyramid style organization, is to support the level above it, which means that you always still have the focus of the customer is the hero. Because every level you have a new customer. Think like this. Customers, frontline workers, and underneath that, managers. Well, who's the manager? If they're not dealing actively with customers, does that mean they don't have customers anymore? No, they do. They're just their customers aren't external. Their customers are now internal. After the break, I'm going to talk to you about two companies that have done this beautifully here in Atlanta, that have practiced this. And it shows up in basically how they do everything. And the leaders were the ones who started this, who kind of embedded it into the culture. And now if you're going to work for that company, you better come in expecting to serve. and that leading is serving. How refreshing is this idea that you could see leadership not as a incredible privilege or blessing as much as you see it as an incredible responsibility. Leadership should not be sought after for its own sake. That's a quote that's been said a lot. When we come back from the break, I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to talk about two companies that have done this extraordinarily well. And two, I'm going to talk about a contrast of these two leadership styles that was made really, really apparent in a huge transition that happened over the last 15 years, but was also showed to us in a beautiful play and then a movie about it. So after the break, we're going to talk about that movie that shows this kind of leadership, and then we're going to talk about two companies that have actually done it beautifully. So you're watching The Leader's Pause with Hal Runkel, and we will come back right after this. This is The Leader's Pause. I'm your host, Hal Runkel. I'm an executive coach and a author and speaker, and I love working with leaders because they have such an outsized impact on people's lives. And one of my goals in life is to help more and more leaders, more and more grown-ups be in charge. Leaders who fully accept the responsibilities that come with the position and being a grown-up in that position, that recognizing that what leadership ultimately calls you to is maturity. It calls you to a level of inner security that you don't have, that you haven't tasted, but it's what is calling you. It is what makes the difference in your leadership is this amazing combination of fortitude and humility at the same time, acceptance of reality and aspiring to what could be in the future. It's a very difficult thing, and it's really made impossible if what you think is the goal of leadership is to be on top. The goal of leadership is to win. And the goal of leadership is to accumulate. This is what we're sold. And it's what entices people to want to strive harder at work and get promoted. And then they do, and they realize, wow, what got me here is not going to get me there. I'm going to have to learn new skills. I'm going to have a different mindset. And what I thought was going to be waiting for me when I thought I was getting promoted to higher and higher levels, it's not. It feels heavier. It feels like a more embroiled and more difficult drama. I thought I was leaving the drama behind. What they're experiencing is the reality that some companies have actually chosen to embrace. That in a successful organization, leadership is seen as a responsibility and humbly sought, not egotistically sought as I finally get the benefits. It's like the way leadership is sold is it's all of the bonus and not of the onus. And the reality is it's the opposite. It's the onus. It's the responsibility, that feeling. And if you do it well, there are bonuses. There are bonuses. But the best bonuses aren't financial. That's another thing most leaders recognize. So worked with so many people who built their businesses and then sold them and then have wondered why the extra zeros now in their bank account or the house in Costa Rica is not scratching the itch they thought that it always would. It's because you've lost the meaning. What ultimately these people love to talk about are the good old days when they were building their company and they were surrounded by some people and they were helping other people be successful and they were all working towards something and there was meaning in that. And it wasn't about the financial rewards. What a couple of companies have done is take this recognition, turn it from a mindset into an actual org chart. And it's called the inverted pyramid. Google it. Lots of people have talked about it. But it's this idea that we are not a pyramid rising to the top to where the CEO is above all others. It's the exact opposite, where each new level of leadership is actually a level underneath more people. And the reason why it feels heavy is not because of the crown on your head, it's because of the people on your shoulders that you are called to support and help make them successful. And that in turn makes you successful, is the number of people, other people you help get ahead. It's interesting, ahead. Even another way that we use to express leadership as something on top of. Two companies that have done this extraordinarily well happen to be based here in Atlanta, where I live, and their headquarters are here. One is Waffle House. Don't know if you've heard of Waffle House. If not, they're coming. They started here in Atlanta, but they've spread out. It is a greasy diner that everybody in the Southeast knows because it's remarkably consistent. For they didn't accept anything other than cash until like, I don't know, 8 years ago. And their whole thing was we cater to the poor old cash customers, what they would say. Well, one of the things that's fascinating about their work ethic, about their mindset, about their org chart is that they attract incredible talent because it's an enormous organization. And they attract a lot of folks from Georgia Tech, very, very high-ranking school here in the Southeast. And yet, what they have to tell them is just letting you know, you're going to be cooking. So I knew Walt Amer was the president of Waffle House for a long time. Unfortunately, a few weeks ago, he passed at only 58 years old from pancreatic cancer. This guy understood the upside down or the inverted pyramid so well. The uniform that he wore is the same uniform you will see the grill person wearing in any Waffle House you go to. He cooked a meal in every single day he went into the office. So he would go to the headquarters, but then he would always travel around to various Waffle Houses, and he cooked at least one meal. The president of the company cooked at least one meal every day. When he would go into a Waffle House, the first thing he would do is go into the bathroom and clean it up. Then he would cook a meal, relieving the grill person of their duties for a little bit. He and all of the other C-suite executives all vowed when you come onto this leadership team, you recognize that you are going to celebrate Thanksgiving on Friday and you're going to celebrate Christmas on the 26th. Because Waffle House is open 24 hours, it never closes. So what they would do is all volunteer on those on the highest of holidays, to replace workers. And they would work all day. MBAs in hand, right? Incredible leadership positions. And that's what they did. And I've spoken at their headquarters before, and everybody's wearing the same uniform. And our job here is to support others. The other organization here in Atlanta that does it so well is the Home Depot. They actually publish the inverted pyramid. It's in their orange colors that they do. Arthur Blank saw himself as the servant underneath all the others. So to start it, that's how they started their organization. And so even so, the headquarters are not called headquarters. They're called the Store Support Center. And you're an executive, that's your job, is to support the stores. We're running out of time, so we don't get to contrast the two leadership styles. I'll talk about that on another show. But now, just think about, what does it look like to be a servant in your leadership position? What does it look like to be a supportive role? And you realize that's your main job. Your main job as a parent, help your kids be successful. Your main job as in anything that you do, help somebody else be successful. Begin to see that the people in your organization who are dealing with the customers, you want to support them with everything you have. What makes life easier, quicker for them? Because they're the ones actually dealing with the people who make your business go, who give you actually money for your products and services. What does it look like to support the people who support the customers directly? What does it look like to support the people who support the people who support people who support the customers directly. That's the inverted pyramid. And that's our show. Thank you for listening. And I love hearing from you guys. Hal at halrunkel.com. And until next show, I hope you find calm and get clear and level up. See you.
You have been listening to The Leader's Pause with Hal Runkel, the show that helps leaders like you find calm, get clear, and level up. Tune in every first and third Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio to access your greatest superpower, the ability to pause, think, and decide for yourself. Book a conversation with Hal today. Visit halrunkel.com.